Well, I can talk about the ones in the agenda. I put them there kind of as like a placeholder, and then I figured once we discussed, I could move them over into the issue. So I haven't, Matt, I haven't had a chance to chat with you about these, but these are kind of next on the list in terms of the UX roadmap issue. So I guess we can just review these and make sure that this is still valid, and we agree that it's next on the list. So the first link is vulnerability groups. View vulnerabilities in groups or sets based on scan type identifier and asset. Yeah, Matt or Andy, I don't know if you want to add anything to this. So this is essentially being able to, I mean, Andy already did a ton of designs for this, so this doesn't look like it'll be too much work. It might need solution validation.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. So this was one of the things from the Kano analysis survey from earlier in the year. I think we could probably do like some light touch stuff. This has been a really long-standing request in that I think people just want a more efficient way to say these things look similar. I want to look at them all at the same time and maybe take an action on all of the same things. And so that's really what the grouping is about. Like maybe I want to deal with all the SQL injections. So I group by a CWE or an OWASP identifier, or show me everything that came out of a DAS scan that has this particular whatever, because I think something was misconfigured and I want to take a bulk action. So yeah, I think we could probably do a solution validation more like making sure that the designs are still directionally correct and ironing out any user confusion that might pop up during that with something a little bit deeper, but hopefully
Okay, maybe
this
something,
yeah,
maybe something just internally, even with the internal security engineers that we have.
I think that'd be a good place to start.
Okay. Awesome. And then the next one, vulnerability details drawer. Users require the need to view the vulnerability details in context with other vulnerabilities, right? So this would, taking them to a new page and away from the vulnerability report is arduous on the user, results in a lot of back and forth between pages. We should consider utilizing a drawer component as a quick view or preview of the vulnerability details. Additionally, we can consider replacing all vulnerability detail modals with this drawer. That last sentence is really interesting because I'm guessing that would apply to the MR as well.
And the pipeline page.
And the pipeline page. Yeah, have you thought about like how to do that with like in tandem with that right navigation or not?
Well,
navigation,
it's just all the drawers are float, so they float on top of the UI.
So you would just close it and then
so it just opens over whatever UI is
underneath
behind it and then closes back.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Amelia, with your email style design that you were working on, were you trying to make that a component so it's a view on any table that users could toggle between if the designer decided to use that? I don't know if she's here.
Yeah, are you talking to me like your voice was not very clear for me, so break a little bit.
Oh,
You mean the new kind of email layout table?
yeah.
Yeah, I just finished the research and the result was good. Most people prefer the new layout, and we will try to make it a component. But maybe as MVC, the bigger drawer, if the pajama team like prefer that, we can also do that. So yeah, that's user's second option, like second preferred option.
Right. When you do make it a component, would it be something that could be a toggle on a view? So if there's a table, you could change the view from table view to email view, or would it just be a component?
Oh, I
in
hope
general?
we can change it, but probably more further down
Okay.
the line.
So that could be something to consider for this too. Okay. Not saying to do that, just it's an option.
Yeah, I'm wondering how that would work. Like you would click on it and then be able to, I don't know how that works.
Well, the table view, when you click on the vulnerability, would give you a drawer to view the details as a preview. If you toggle the table view to the email style, all of that stuff that was in the drawer is just rendered on the right side
Yeah.
of
So
the
the table squish
yeah.
it down to a left column email style, and then you have a sort of preview view pane. Or detail
Yeah,
view.
that makes sense. I thought you meant toggle between the modal view and the
Oh.
email style. So that makes sense. Okay. Cool. That's a good thing to consider. I will link that issue and reference it as well as something more of like a future iteration. But again, I mean, on this, Andy's done a lot of work that I got to inherit. So I don't know if this will be too big of an effort.
Well, design or engineering.
Design wise.
Yeah, because it's gonna be a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just smushing and re-rendering content, but I say that in like a statement, and that will be, a couple milestones, but maybe. I don't know. Just depends. I would consider it being a multiple iterative effort to get action, like details and then actions and then further details and actions, starting to seed out the whole details page into a drawer. It doesn't have to be, one design and then one implementation effort.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, and then the last thing I put on the list is if needed, if we can't complete the remaining tasks in 14.6, there may need more problem and or solution validation on the MR inline alerts. A meeting with our researcher, Michael Oliver, next week to kind of talk about the findings and next steps on that. So gonna try to wrap that up by 14.6, but that may carry over into 14.7.
And Becca, that seems like that would, if not align well, at least be very much related to the wrap up work that I saw Annabelle and Pedro just did on sort of that holistic look at the MR. I know
That's
they were
right.
sort of light on security findings, so this may be really informative for them. I don't know what other kinds of validation work they might expect from that, but might help to pull Michael into a conversation with those two if he hasn't already.
Yeah, because I mean, well, as part of this, we didn't look at the security widget at all, which I think they're research focused on. So, but definitely agree. Yeah, bringing Michael Oliver into that conversation would be good. Otherwise, I'm planning to complete everything else in 14.6. So these items should be good for 14.7, especially considering holidays and some time off.
It would be good to keep the vulnerability groups work top of mind while you're doing the bulk action stuff too.
Yep,
Those connect pretty well.
absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, even looking at vulnerability groups, I mean, I haven't thought through this yet, but I'm wondering if there is a need to bulk within a group rather than bulking on the page.
I think that might be in the designs, but I'd have to double check.
Okay, I'll revisit that. But agree, they're connected.
Mhm.
Cool. So I see some other people have added stuff. Container security.
Yeah,
Sam or
so
Camelia, do you want to talk about
the
that?
big thing, just looking down the roadmap that we've got coming is the ability to scan containers in GitLab's container registry. I think we'll probably finish up. Obviously, we'll finish any 14.6 work, and if there's a carryover, if there are carryover items that we don't finish in 14.6, we'll probably design those first. But once we get done with like that current body of work, we want to start in on this one. This is probably going to be a heavier design lift, especially because it's going to involve collaboration with the package team. And so the requirements for this aren't 100% ready yet either. So it's not quite ready for design, but I'm planning on having this ready for design by the start of 14.7. I need to go through and just clean up the description of that epic and get it all ready. And then it may be a larger project than just one milestone, especially where 14.7 is short. So I would expect this to continue in 14.8. But there are actually quite a lot of design nuances there because we're just going to have to break it down and figure out how to tackle this in an iterative fashion. The end goal is to allow scans to run really fast, like in a matter of seconds outside of a pipeline, rather than having to download a whole container image and spin up a job. Just all of that overhead takes about a minute. The actual scan itself takes just a few seconds to run. All the container scans really are just a comparison of a list of packages and versions for the image with a known database of packages and versions that have vulnerabilities. So the scanning part itself is super fast. We've made some initial steps in being able to scan outside of pipelines on the back end by storing our list of packages in the dependency list, so we can show those up in the dependency list. But we're having all of those be mapped back to an image with a checksum of the image itself. So that way we can just say, oh, if the checksum of the image has not changed, we don't have to even pry into that image to see the packages. We already know what packages are there. All we have to do is see if our vulnerability database is updated. And so then it really just becomes a matter of either updating the list of packages for an image whenever the image is updated, or updating the vulnerability database whenever the vulnerability database gets updated. So eventually we'll be able to basically have continuous scanning. And all of that ties back into the container registry, because ideally we would be able to scan those images on push into the registry. Where right now, if it takes a minute for each thing, like that's just going to be totally cost prohibitive for us to run that amount of compute processing time every time an image is pushed. That would tank our costs. But if we can get this to be super efficient, we could just automatically scan anything and everything that's ever pushed into the registry, and then rescan it all anytime our vulnerability database is updated. So when I say this is a big one, it's because we're exploring potentially some backend changes that will make it a lot better, but also may significantly change how container scanning works. And in addition to all of that, on the UX side, we would want to surface that up when you're looking at your container registry in GitLab. as well as, potentially changing some of the other ways that container scanning works. So this is a pretty big one. I'm sure we're going to be breaking this down into smaller chunks, but that's really the next big thing that we have coming once we finish our current chunk of work.
Well, just a quick question. Will this replace the current container scan with CI/CD, like the YAML file one, the pipeline one, or is additional one?
This would probably be an additional one because, well, at least at first, it's going to be an additional one. It may be able to replace it longer term, but at least to start off, it's probably going to only work for images in GitLab's container registry, whereas right now, container scanning can run against external registries as well. So we probably need to keep the current pipeline scanning functionality for a little while at least, because it's going to be a whole extra effort to figure out how we can basically become like hook into the image push for external registries if we wanted to keep up to date on those. So because external registries really complicate it. So we're probably going to have both options running side by side for some period of time.
Well, thank you. I think I can see it's become big because we probably need to, on the UI side, on the UX side, like how users started, maybe some preparation work they need to do. And we probably will do something in the configuration or maybe on-demand scan area and other stuff, and also display it in registry and in our report. So I would imagine several small design issues there. We can talk later.
Yeah, exactly. This is definitely a big one. We're going to need to break it down so that we can work iteratively. Like I said, it's not really ready for design yet, but I'm hoping to have it ready by the end of 14.6.
Cool. Thank you. Michael, what do you know about what's going on with you?
Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to touch base with Derek yet on 14.7, but I have two nice to have issues, and I'm sure are going to carry over into 14.7 from 14.6. That'd be competitor evaluation and then putting together a journey map for the whole scan configuration process. And then there's one issue that's probably going to spill over into 14.7 too, and that's problem validation for how DevOps teams want to configure their security tools. I think I still want to figure out the details for that this week, and depending on the research method though, considering the timing of the year, it may spill over, just trying to get people to interview and people to talk to and getting responses from people. I think it's probably unrealistic to think that's going to happen very fast within the next few weeks.
Yeah,
so I think between those will probably fill up my week or my the next milestone.
Okay. Just to add those into the table as I also added another column to our tables too. So when you carry over something from a previous milestone, you could sort of describe what happened, what caused it to get carried over. So just add those when you get a chance.
Okay, will do.
Andy, what do you know about composition analysis stuff? I know you're doing some SBOM work and whatnot.
I know some stuff about it. The survey we plan to get out is in refinement right now, so it probably will get out in 14.6. From there, we'll have enough information to populate an MVC for the SBOM. And we're also going to distribute that survey through Nicole's social media as well, just to get more eyeballs on it. And that's about it. I know one of her needs was vulnerability grouping, so it's great that Becca, you're getting on that this time. So that works out well. And pretty much it.
Sorry, whose need was vulnerability grouping?
Nicole's.
Nicole.
Yeah. It was grouped by dependency.
Okay. Is there anything that we could add to the 14.7 table that would carry over from 14.6 that you are aware of?
I'm not certain.
Okay.
But
Okay, no worries.
I could ping Nicole. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll continue to do the same pinging within the issue that I've been doing too. I was off last week and slipped my mind to do a reminder before I left, so I apologize for that, but I'll stay on it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, I added just a reminder note to the bottom, OKR extras, just about the fiscal year 22 Q4 stuff. Some of these are for everyone, like these top two. For instance, they want us to sort of pick up MR reviews, the numbers that everyone's doing. I know that we don't have a lot of security work that's being developed that we can do MR reviews. Some of us do, some of us don't. So otherwise, try to pick up community contributions if you can. And then user videos. They wanted, and the details are all in our tracking issue, but in general, they want us to put together like a 5-minute video of a user trying to work through using anything in your group. We're trying to build empathy, so those videos would be shared out to other team members outside of UX. So they'll have the opportunity to view it's as if they're watching user testing, right? So they could start to understand what our users are going through and that type of thing. You know, the bonus of when you want to have somebody watch user testing videos, that's the intent. So we're going to build a repository of videos that people can look at.
And Justin, these are supposed to be people that are seeing these features for the first time, or regular users, or
regular users, any type of, so you could take a user testing video that you've got and make it available to people. That's my understanding of what the OKR is.
Well, those are participants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not just use our CMS stuff? Why do more work when the work we've done could do?
This was not meant to be heavy lifting.
Well, we already have the CMS videos recorded. The ones that are recorded, we just post those.
Let me find the issue.
I think isn't the intent just to pull clips from any sort of research? It could be from the CMS or otherwise that really shows users struggling because they use our app.
Or succeeding.
Or succeeding, yeah.
Like, oh my God, GitLab, what? This is amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a failing, that sort of thing. Why can't
That's
I
a good
find
point.
this stupid
Sam, we
issue?
could use our AST video we just made. Look at all that success.
Yeah. The product managers themselves had no problem using our own product.
It was all first take, no redos.
Move them all to complete. And if they're at complete, they're all lovable.
Okay, so this is what it says. Curating research videos to share with our stable counterparts as part of an empathy building training program launching in FY23 Q1. The idea is to have more GitLab team members witness users experiencing our product. Designers to locate and submit 1 to 2 minute video of a participant interacting and struggling with our product. So I guess it's not a happy scenario. Examples should be relevant and of the production environment. Upload your video to GitLab filtered, blah, blah, blah.
That's a tricky
That's the
one.
intent.
Get a production environment up on usertesting.com. Oh, good luck with that. I'm gonna
Guessing the more strategic part of the experience to build empathy for is security in the MR. Given
think
that
all of it.
there's more cross-stage overlap there.
I think it'd be helpful because to date, there's no citations of people using the security widget in some existing research, so we could show research.
Well,
of
this
people
wasn't
interacting.
meant for us to have to go out and do new research. If we have to, I guess we have to. But the hope was that we'd be able to go back into our research archives and pull something out.
Yeah.
And if we have to stretch a little bit and it's not a development and environment, then or production environment, then we can work with that. Just add comments to the issue and ask those types of questions to whoever owns that KR. validate.
CMS is in prod, but the problem with CMS is we tell them not to talk while they're doing it. So it's
Right.
just going to be a quiet person moving a mouse around on the screen.
Yeah, so the CMS might not work then. Because we kind of, the point is that so other counterparts can view these videos and feel the pain of our users.
You don't really want to post a participant interacting with a prototype if their confusion is based on the designs and the prototype rather than that current experience.
If it's the best we can do, then it's the best we can do, but I would pose those questions in the KR. I think that's the main point. But we are
Yeah.
at time, so I don't want to hold anyone up. So we can talk about this offline too.
Okay,
Thanks, y'all.
Sure, see ya.
thanks everyone.